So we talked about logistics execution, we talked about technology. Let's talk about infrastructure and bringing efficiency, speed, productivity, and sustainable development. Moderator, my good friend Mr. Arif Siddiqui, founder and director of Coign Consulting. Give a big round of applause for Mr. Siddiqui. Mr. Siddiqui is a progressively grown individual with in-depth hands-on experience of over 33 years in sales operations, business management, contract logistics, distribution, 3PL, 4PL services. He founded Coign Consulting in 2005 and in a very short span established it as a leading automation and design consulting brand in warehousing, contract logistics, and 4PL services. He has conceptualized and designed supply chain solutions and integrated distribution centers to the tune of a combined space of 70 million square feet. Is this a typo error, Mr. Siddiqui, 70 million square feet? I'm sure it is not. All right. No, it's a typo error.
It's 17, not 70.
Not 70, it's 17 million. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Please take your seat. I will invite your panel. All right. Let's invite Mr. Gopinath Deshpande, Supply Chain Infrastructure Head at Reliance Retail. Thank you so much. Number 2, Mr. Prashant Bopardikar. Prashant. You have to sit in the same order as the name is called. Right, Mr. Siddiqui?
Yes, absolutely.
Because there is a reward, by the way. The first one gets a gold, then gets a silver. Right, Mr. Siddiqui, a gold coin?
Yeah.
Mr. Balbirsingh Khalsa. Paji? Thank you so much. He is the Executive Director of Industrial and Logistics at Knight Frank, India. Mr. D.K. Rai, Director at CHEP. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Siddiqui. Your panel is 1 hour, 15 minutes and includes question and answers and introduction also.
More comfortable, yeah, which is 4 of us. Hi, how are you? You got your paper? Good morning. And I think we've had up till now we've had a very great conference, listening to thought leaders and startup organizations. We heard very interesting insights from Pando. Thank you very much, to share the dedicated freight corridor, project. It's been very, very inspiring, and to see what's happening in this country, and especially not only because of the pandemic, but I think overall we had already seen, an acceleration in the overall economy in the country, and not only acceleration by spend, but by acceleration by manufacturing, acceleration by the supply chain, and how supply chain has evolved thanks to all the great supply chain leaders, the transport managers, the warehouse managers, the warehouse executives, and the IT, which has been the IT support system, which has been a bedrock, to this entire supply chain evolution, I would say, that's taken place. First of all, I think each one of us should give a huge round of applause to each one of you here who has represented the supply chain business and done a great job, not only during the pandemic. I would say the pandemic was only a way to show the world, a way to show our CEOs, our CFOs, what supply chain managers actually are capable of doing. I'm not very sure whether CapExes are still so easily signed, even despite that. But at least we've been able to make a very strong position, and a very strong case of the department and the importance of the department, especially when it comes to connecting customers. So with that, I would like to start this panel discussion. There is no specific reason that we are going to be talking only about infrastructure, but there is one specific reason that we are talking about infrastructure, and that is infrastructure also plays an equally important role, in the overall delivery experience to the customer. And here I'm not talking about delivery experience only from an e-commerce point of view. It could be a B2B, it could be a B2C, it could be D2C, or it could be X to C. When I say X, we don't know what this X is going to be. It's going to be the new animal, in the order of the day. So we have a very, very interesting panel out here. Basic introduction has already been done. The introduction done is not sufficient, I would say. So we've called people by names. I would like to give the opportunity to my August panelists, who are here, who've spent a very large part of their life, in the supply chain and infrastructure ecosystem, developing some of the best infrastructures, marketing some of the best infrastructures, to renowned organizations, not only to multinational companies, but also Indian multinational organizations and mid-sized organizations, as well as budding organizations in the Indian context. We also have people who have been operating within a given warehouse. We have people in the panel who have been part of the equipment side of the warehouse. And everybody here has contributed to the overall engineering and efficiency that a warehouse is supposed to, or distribution center is expected to deliver, as part of the operational challenges that we face day to day. So without taking any further time, I would like to quickly request, in order here starting from Mr. Gopinath, to say a few words about yourself. You can take 1 minute to introduce yourself. I'm sure none of us is yet satisfied with the introduction that has been given, So I would like you to kindly spend a few minutes, maybe 1 minute, 1.5 minutes each, to give a little bit of detail about yourself and your cause of existence in the corporate world.
So good morning to all of you. This is Gopinath Deshpande. I am from Reliance Retail Limited. So I am heading the infrastructure function of the supply chain management. So I have more than 30 years of experience in the project management and managing the projects at pan-India level. So I've been in Reliance for last 10 years, and of which I think last 5 years I've been seriously involved in developing the infrastructure for the Reliance Retail in Mumbai and elsewhere. Okay, so we have started this journey as a central supply chain in the year 2018, and since then I think we are working on the various processes and other things to build the infrastructure for Reliance, at working with various developers and other things. So we have come far way, but we have a bigger goals to achieve in the coming years. So we are making a strong team within my function, and there are a lot of interdisciplinary things which we will do. So in a nutshell, that we are looking forward in an exciting journey in developing the infrastructure in Reliance. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, I can now ask Prashant.
Yeah, so good morning. So my name is Prashant Bopardikar. I work for a company called Bestseller. For those who don't know Bestseller, we actually own and run the brands like Selected, Veromoda, Only, Jack and Jones. It's a Danish company and almost 2,000 crores in India now. I carry experience around 25 years with me in various different industries, from food to retail to logistics. I spent good amount of time in future supply chain as a part of projects, and almost closed 100 warehouses and created 50 more warehouses. Here in Bestseller, I look after entire supply chain, which means that warehousing, new projects, distribution, and also the automation and implementation in the upcoming warehouses. Thank you.
Balbir.
Hi. Hi guys. Happy to be here. I am from Knight Frank, India. Knight Frank basically is a company from UK. It's an international property consultant. So we are there in India from last 25 years, while in UK we have been in the world over from, you can say, almost like 125 years. It's one of the oldest IPCs across the globe. And we typically are servicing the clients in the leasing segment, majorly into offices, warehouses. We also procure lands for the developers or the clients. And apart from this, we are also into facility management, project management. We are also into valuations. We are also into consultancy. But majorly into the real estate part, not beyond real estate. And my role in Knight Frank is I head the industrial and warehousing vertical from last 11 years. And I help clients lease their warehouse, buy the land, sell the pre-leased warehouses, even help clients do a platform deal in India. So we are working on some big platform deals where people come out from outside India and they want to do a platform with Indian developers. So we are trying some big deals on platform level also. So overall, trying to contribute in this warehousing and logistics sector on a big way, where trying to bring in as much FDI as possible into this segment. So fingers crossed at that, but I think next 10 years I feel is of logistics and of warehousing. So I think great time ahead as we grow on our GDPs from 3.3 to 2 trillion to 5 trillion to 10 trillion. I think there's a good expansion possible, and I think this investment also will give rich benefits to all the investors who invest in India. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Hello. Hi everyone. My name is DK Rai. I do palm reading, palmistry. So if you want to know whether CapEx will be approved or not after this panel during the break, your increments, whatever. It's not free services. I do charge. I'm a serious professional on that front. So, and I'm staying in this hotel. I can extend one more day if many people are interested. I also do poetry in Hindi, a little bit Urdu. That we'll see if during dinner we get some time to do though, okay? Professionally, I represent here CHEP India. CHEP is part of a very big group, Brambles. It's a listed entity in Australia. We started our operations in India around 14 years back. I was privileged to be one of the founder member here. In last 14 years, we have been able to work with maybe around 600 customers spread all across FMCG companies, 3PL companies, automotive industry, you name any OEM, they are tier ones, they do use our services. And we are very proud of our contribution to the cause of sustainability. Our business model itself, by design, promotes a lot of sustainability and practices which are actually very environment friendly. So more during the panel discussion. Thanks, Mr. Arif. That introduction was actually very short.
Thank you very much. Please give a round of applause. Okay, thank you very much, all of you, for this great introduction. The warehousing and distribution infrastructure has evolved over time on the back of especially the industrial and the retail or e-commerce growth that we have seen in the past 10 years, wherein customers are served while riding on the B2B and the B2C channel. Retail and e-commerce have been the catalyst to the development of the new age infrastructure and the buildings that we see that are sprouting all around the place. The occupiers and service providers are showing a marked preference for fit to purpose or fit for purpose quality and sustainable properties due to the inherent operational efficiencies, adherence to safety standards, compliances, and better contingency planning for global events. From connected infrastructure or smart factories to the mobile workforce, organizations are applying technology to solve the complex problems that stand in the way of sustainable and efficient operations. Implementing the right operations efficiency strategy will be crucial to maintain a competitive advantage. Supply chain strategies are increasingly including the significance of operational efficiencies and human productivity. The operational challenges that industries faced in today's marketplace, the opportunities presented by digital transformation and sustainable supply chain infrastructure continues to be a hot topic of discussions in conferences like this. The infrastructure piece in the business pie cannot be ignored as it makes or breaks the plan. And we have seen in the recent pandemic that organizations have had to face huge challenges because they did not have an efficient infrastructure in place. Increasing productivity, reducing waste, and driving sustainable performance has become the key performing index to any invested infrastructure. Optimizing entire asset value and operational life cycle by contextualizing asset performance will be the key for a very long time. Therefore, gentlemen, selecting the correct specification or writing the correct specifications in case you are hiring a facility or otherwise if you are building one, carefully designing your warehouse building, looking at the vehicle's docks, aprons, yards, and estate roads, determining the flows and quant analysis of material, man, and machine movement is going to be the bedrock of intralogistics design. Designing processes that have optimum path, zero errors, and integrated to the virtual process so as to automate the data collection will also remain increasingly the key to most of the success. Leveraging the right solutions, warehouse equipment, technology, not only in terms of machine technology, but also in terms of IT and the technologies that keep evolving, integrating WMS to WCS will also be the key driver to what we see in the future. Implementing a streamlined return process, and we see today a lot of return management challenges that are taking place, leaving a lot of cost to the operations and the capital that is invested in the business is also becoming one of the key success factors of making or breaking organizations and businesses. Collaborating to drive efficiency from supplier to customer as has always been the key, will continue to be the key and will not diminish till the end of time. This panel will discuss infrastructure bringing efficiency, speed, productivity, and sustainable development. In this backdrop, I would like to start my question from my immediate left with Gopinath. If you can please hand over the mic to him. Okay. Gopinath, my question to you is that since you represent, you can keep looking straight, otherwise you'll strain your rear. So, okay, so that I don't allow you to strain, let me just walk down. Okay.
Yeah.
So, the first point that I would like to ask you is that what role do you see that infrastructure plays in the success of your businesses, the businesses that you are supposed to support, and your supply chain profitability? And I want you to relate this question to supply chain profitability as in infrastructure as an input.
Yeah. See, infrastructure definitely is a very key function in the entire supply chain. Like there are, like within the company, it is many infrastructure opportunities are there to develop. And outside is something which is beyond the control of the company, like the logistic related infrastructure and other things. In Reliance, the focus has been to improve the infrastructure, to build a state-of-art warehouses, and we have been spending a lot of time into it to understand the requirements. So when I moved to Reliance in the infrastructure division in 2018, so at that time, Reliance is, you may be knowing that we have got several business formats operating within Reliance, and each formats have got their own requirements, own specifications, and they have got their own timelines to meet. So earlier to 2018, all the formats are doing by themselves the infrastructure coordination activities. They did not have a specific requirements of the specifications and other things. But when we moved into a central supply chain, then the focus shifted to the infrastructure, how to build a state-of-art infrastructures, how to build a more efficient infrastructure to operationalize our warehouses in a quick time and also improve its efficiencies. So that's how it all started in 2018. And you see, mine is an infrastructure function, and we have got several connected functions within supply chain of Reliance. So we actually, our role starts at the network planning itself. So every department have got their own requirements, and we try to consolidate the requirements. And by doing a network planning, so we, in fact, recently we have hired several consultants to do a network planning, and we have almost finalized the locations where we want to put all the formats into that locations. So the advantage what we get is that when we consolidate various formats in those locations, we get an advantage in co-locating and consolidating those spaces. Otherwise, maybe in one city we have got all the formats looking at the different spaces. So that will affect our operational efficiencies, and also that will affect our logistic this one. So what we have started is we wanted to co-locate and consolidate our various format requirement as single locations in the different cities. So that's how we have started on network planning. So now more or less we are ready with the network planning. So probably we will be going to all the big developers with our requirements very soon. Then subsequently, what we have done is we have also reviewed the various processes, how to improvise our operations to so that now we can do a better efficient operations. So of course we have got a separate team who are looking deep into this refining the processes. Okay, so that also is more or less, now we have done various template designs, and now we are more or less formalized the designs which is more optimum to us in improving the efficiency of our warehouses. Then the third thing what we have done is, then we are looking at the specifications. Earlier in 2018, there was no specifications. Reliance is really looking with the warehouses. So whatever is available in the market, they are just going and taking. So but once we have moved in, we wanted to develop a specifications which is of a grade A class. So then we defined those specifications, and now we have been talking to the developers, and we are able to negotiate and get the warehouses as per the specifications. Of course, in last couple of years, most of the developers are making that as a standard specifications. Most of the big developers, they are giving a grade A specifications, but we started that much before that. So maybe in 2018 itself, we started developing those specifications. So that's one area where we have done an improvement within Reliance to define the specifications. Okay. Then afterwards, we have also started working on the various infrastructure components like storage. So earlier, we had a limited vendors, and vendors were giving the storage equipments as per their availability and requirements. Then Reliance, because being a large consumer of the storage equipments, so what we have done is we have standardized our designs, racking designs, shelving designs with all the suppliers, like the Armsmani, Neil Kamal, and there are other suppliers. And now we are able to really get our storage system as per our requirements. That has helped us to improve our profitability, and also we are able to turn around our closure of our in setting up the infrastructure. So similarly, we are working on IT setups and other things. So Reliance has really moved ahead in last 3 years. Now, just to give you numbers, in last 3 years, we have put more than 10 million square feet we have added. And maybe in this year only, our target is more than 10 million. So going forward, probably we will add much more. Okay. So, so it's an exciting period for us.
Okay,
So,
thank you very much.
yeah,
I think this was very interesting insights. I think the few things that we need to pick up from what you said was in terms of network optimization, network planning. That's one consolidation activity that you did. And I'm sure it's not the reason was not to just consolidate, but you would have done your entire study of how your markets, where your markets are, and accordingly you would have consolidated. I think the products that you fundamentally deal in as Reliance Retails, most of them are lifestyle products, and therefore markets would be very, very common and generic, and that's probably, you have really used that to your advantage. Very interesting point on processes. I think that's one area where most of the organizations need to continuously evolve and continuously look at. We have this tendency of setting up processes once and then it's probably forgotten for a long time. Processes need to be revisited on a very, very frequent basis, like you visit your budgets in business. It's very important, likely, for you to also keep visiting your processes, because process improvisation is the key to smoothing, of the operations. So I would like to now move to Prashant. You come from, the Bestseller company and some of the formidable brands that you just mentioned, I think are brands to reckon with. In your understanding, the same question, what changes, what improvements, or with your experience of having set up Future Supply Chain, one of the most nodal distribution center in Nagpur, I believe you were involved in that for a very long time. Very early in time, you probably identified the fact that automation, processes, mechanization is going to be the key success factor. And so true. In your opinion, what would you like to share with the audience out here, and give some insights on aspects from an infrastructure standpoint that probably is going to flip the overall profitability of the supply chain? Those 4, 5, 6 important points. Gentlemen, I'd just like to remind you that you have 3 minutes for every question to answer. So let's stick to the time. Thanks.
Thank you, Arif. So I'll go back to my journey from Future Supply Chain. So I remember in 2008, when the company was formed, we had 150 warehouses across India. In every city, central used to open, there used to be warehouse. So the strategy we actually adopted is that we need to consolidate the warehouse and find out how to get efficiencies. So by the time we came to 2010, almost from 160 warehouses, we came to around 25 warehouses, few RDCs. In 2011, we said that we need to further reduce it. So we created Mihan, which is basically a mother DC. And with Mihan, we realized what technology, the processes, the infra plays a major role. So Mihan was created, and we used to churn out almost 5 lakh pieces per day. And the cost has reduced from 4% for the group to 3%. So yes, infrastructure and technology plays a major role. Coming back to my current company, which is Bestseller, I understood it much better because company is growing at 30% CAGR. And we had 5 warehouses in Tarapur, a separate warehouse for e-commerce, separate for the B2B business, separate for distribution. And technology was very, very primitive. We used to operate with lean WMS. And then we realized that the kind of growth company is growing, we cannot sustain like this. So we created a world-class warehouse. I would recommend all must come and see that warehouse. We invested 25 crores in that. And that's where we have taken every aspect into consideration. What kind of infra we want, what kind of building we want. So we had designed our specs ourselves, saying what kind of docking space I want, what kind of height I want, what kind of louvers I want, what kind of air changes we want, what kind of flooring we want, because that was required with kind of automation we're going to plan in future. So yes, so infra has 2 aspects. One is the physical infra, which is a racking system, which is shelving, automation, WMS, and something of informational, which is going to create visibility. And with this combination, company is going to get benefited. I remember when we started before pandemic, the e-com piece was hardly 5 to 6%. During pandemic, it went to 15 to 16%, And with that, if you don't have good automation, if you don't have good visibility, because partners are demanding. Myntra, when we started, we used to say 48 hours we want fulfillment. Then they came to 12 hours. Now they're saying every 2 hours we want our shipment to be handed over to our LSP, or logistics service provider. And that is where I think the overall, the process you follow in the warehouse, the kind of technology you have, what kind of WMS you have, what kind of visibility you have. So we have something called LMS, Labor Management System, which shows us every person, every picker or every activity, how much time it's taking, and against the benchmark, where do we stand? And then you take corrective actions. You know a particular department, a particular activity is not working, change the processes and correct it. So when we implement WMS, we had a blueprint, which is 3 years back. And when I see that blueprint now, there are 55 customizations happened because every day and every hour, we're trying to create some process by which we're going to improve the productivity. And imagine a cost saved in supply chain, it directly goes to bottom line. And all this infra, which is physical or informational, plays a major role in company's profitability.
Great. Thank you very much for those very, very important insights. I would also like to incidentally add, for the benefit of all the audience here, that the opportunities that both the companies that actually just presented was to do with greenfield, projects where you had the opportunity to specify and accordingly probably either build to suit or take warehouses there. Many of us here come from organizations where we are already operating in an existing facility, and there would be reasons that you cannot change from your existing facilities. In such situation also, I think you should take inspiration from the fact that you can actually end up redesigning your existing facilities, relaying out your existing facilities on the basis of all the changes and the new discovery that you have done with regards to your processes, with regards to the operations, with regards to the changing market scenario. He just mentioned a very important thing that, and I think this has happened to everybody, where your e-commerce bit on an omni-channel, or for that matter, even through any other platform, has substantially grown over the period of time, and that has probably presented a different type of challenge to your operations, which you are not used to. And that can only happen when you have a very scalable, flexible, and futuristic intra-logistics, or intra-warehouse layout. With the changing pattern of business, Balbir, I'd like to come to you. There's a lot of aggressive growth that we are seeing in omni-channel, e-commerce, quick commerce. People are talking about 30 minutes delivery, 15 minutes, and now there's this blink in 10 minutes, and so on and so forth. And I think this is going to just get more and more complex as we move ahead. Most of the startups are operating from, makeshift infrastructure. And we have seen some of them are really at the backyard infrastructure because there's nothing available. There is no structured infrastructure available, or well-planned, well-designed, new age infrastructure available in the thick of the cities, okay. So do you see a real demand for urban or in-city warehouses or distribution or fulfillment centers? And what will be the selection criteria for such infrastructure? Balbir.
Yeah, thanks, Arif. See, urban infrastructure is a new in thing post pandemic, and where people want to go out and they wanted to order from the home itself, where they were afraid of going outside. But if you really see, this is a very complex structure here, is because government itself doesn't have, the city planners don't have that go down kind of definition in their development plan. So typically it's a thing where government may have to drive, because you just can't have go downs everywhere in the city. And typically, if you want to understand, e-commerce wants to service each and every pin code, and now that's becoming very difficult. You can't have a warehouse of 2,000 to 20,000 square feet across all the pin codes. So if you want to give a service in 19 minutes and 10 minutes, very difficult. And rather you'll find all the guys going into the wrong directions, and I believe there will be a logistic mess. Most of them, if you really see, when they run in the bikes without helmets, going in the wrong direction, wrong lanes, wrong sides. So practically, if you think, very difficult for Mumbai, Bangalore, or all those big cities to give this kind of service in 10 to 19 minutes. So I think it will settle down to 2 to 3 hours at least, where you can have just say 6-7 pockets within each city where you can create those kind of warehouses which are compliant in nature, where all the compliances are met. And so it is a very difficult subject. No doubt the demand is very high from all those e-commerce like Zeptos, Meeshos, and daily some new e-commerce is coming, and they all are challenging each other's timelines. So somewhere I believe it's a gimmick to just create a valuation, but I think settle down to those 2-3 hours, and because you can't play with the demographic and planning of the cities, so you can't have, in some pin codes you just can't have anywhere else. So, or you have to create, you can say you have to convert those retail stores into dark stores, so littered stores into dark stores. This is how the dark store name came in. So, but the sizes are very small. Typically retail store is from 200 square feet to 1000 square feet, but typically dark stores are from 2000 to 20,000, depending on the SKUs they are going to service. So overall, it's a very big demand, but supply is just not there. And if you really talk to all the major funds of who have come into India who want to develop this in cities, but those kind of land sizes are not available, because to create a good in-city warehouse, you at least need 5 to 6 acres of land, that too inside a city. Now imagine Mumbai, if you want a 5 to 6 acres of land, it is 1,000 crore investment, just in land. And then you have to do all the planning. The construction cost itself for an in-city is 4,000 rupees. So it doesn't make, the numbers are just not stacking up to any profitability. So I believe what will happen is all those industrial clusters which we have within the city, they will get converted, where the industries get shifted from inside city to outside city, and those small industries can be used as a warehouse, who can give a better rents, and these industrial units can go for a lower rent kind of outside the city. So those migrations will happen within the city for this kind of segment to come within the urban logistics. Otherwise, urban logistics is a very difficult subject.
Yeah, I completely agree with you that urban logistics is a difficult subject, specifically because of either the short availability of such pockets. I mean, if we're talking about 3 to 4 or 5 acres of land within a city like Bombay, Delhi, etc. And secondly is the cost arbitrage. Yeah. I think that's somewhere where. Now I'll ask Panditji the question, our great astrologer. Sir, can you hold my hand? So, no, not like this. You have to see my hand, okay, and then I'll ask you the question, okay? No, we just paid him, okay? So, with the increasing, the question that I have showing you my hand is that with the increasing demand of automation in storage, automation and storage, what could be done to maintain some minimum level of standardization, basically, to enhance efficiency and productivity? What role do you think, now since he represents CHEP, and fundamentally CHEP's investment in India is more on the palletization side, and they've done a great work as far as trying to push this standardization of this unit load device, ULD. So I would ask the question to you related to pallet. What role do you see that pallet service providers like you can actually do when it comes to improving operations efficiency in the warehouse from an efficiency standpoint?
Thanks, Mr. Arif.
Yeah.
See, before I come to that question, very quickly, many of us might be aware, and Mr. Arif and some of us here would have contributed towards NLP, National Logistics Policy. The happy news is that it will be released on 17th. Some of us were there by Prime Minister. We were there last week in Delhi talking about few stuff, which is around, the entire logistics sector. Just to give some data, see, we have got around, say, I'm just reading, 20 plus government agencies, 40 plus partner government agencies, 37 export councils, around 500 plus certifications, 1,000 plus commodities, $200 billion or maybe $300 billion is market size we're talking about, 200 shipping agencies, 36 logistics services, which are like well-defined, 129 ICDs, inland container depots, 168 CFS, 50 IT ecosystems, and various banking and insurance agencies, right? And you have got around 25 million people employed into it. So that's a complex and interesting sector we are into. Now, if you have got this kind of industry to operate into, that's a business we are into. Think of a situation like, we here, and our great Celerity team, Mr. Sanjay, Charu, and Akash, they have arranged nice lunch after it, okay? We go out, and there is a good raita, bundi raita, okay? We all want to eat, and there is no proper, what we call, vati, bowl, or whatever, it's not there, right? We'll not be able to take it. And maybe, somebody will use glass or cup or whatever to see, we consume that raita. So material handling is something which becomes very crucial for overall supply chain. And if you don't have standards, okay, let me also give you the example of say shipping containers. They have some standards. We have chosen few sizes, and because of that, that industry is still in circular in nature. Multiple people are able to make decisions for their shipments, and you are reusing the stuff. If they would have considered or they would have introduced 1,000 types of things to move things across the globe, we can understand the challenges and chaos, right, the supply chain. So what we do in CHEP is basically we are trying to promote at least some level of standardization, which are least conflicting. People do not have any conflict in interest, and because the packaging is the very basic unit of supply chain, if you can have some sort of alignment on that standard, you can further standardize the rest of the thing. So I think this itself brings a lot of sustainability and a lot of environmental benefits and also cost efficiency. Given the time, I'll stop here. Thank you, Mr. Arif, for this question. We'll see if there are questions from audience as well.
Yeah, great. I think standardization is definitely, a very, very important aspect in building efficiency, and I think we have seen this being spoken all over the world. And today, as you rightly said, we were talking that if there was no standardization in shipping containers, the whole world today would have been we would have been in a completely different world, and freight costs and everything would have been different. So definitely standardization plays a very important role, and customization by itself has its own limitation and can sometimes be very disastrous also if you are over customizing things, to your benefit. I come back, to the second question or second round of questions here quickly, and gentlemen, this time your time is 2 minutes to answer each of these questions. So what is critical? And when I say critical, I mean top-end critical only, specifications that you consider that should be made as a consideration in design in either multi-tier distribution centers or in-city distribution centers, if we look at it from that point of view, from a distribution standpoint.
Regarding this in-city multi-tier distribution center, so I think this is something new to us because we have not done any such distribution centers in Reliance, but we have been getting some options to look into this type of distribution centers. So one of the things what I have seen is on the location, because these are closer to cities, and the location-wise, it's a challenge. So movement of vehicles and other things is definitely an important we need to consider. So layout of this type of in-city warehouses is something which will be allowed to look into it, into considerations before we arriving at this specifications. Then see what I have seen is on the, there is a big compromise on the height and the floor loading capacities, which we have seen in some of the options we have received. So I think that's something which we have to look into it, what is the height of the warehouses which we have to consider, especially when you are going for a multi-tier, and what is the load bearing capacities you will have, especially on the mezzanine floors where you want to give a big 1 lakh, 2 lakh square feet of mezzanines. What is the load carrying capacity you will be able to give and how it impacts the floral specifications. So these are the two important things. We are still trying to understand how to freeze the specification for entire this one, because right now our focus is not on this multi-tier, because we take large warehouses away from cities. But definitely this is an interesting option considering its proximity to the city, and it will give added value to us if we are able to design a right spec for this. So we are still in the process of finalizing the specs for this.
Thank you very much. So while I'm trying to investigate and be part of this panel discussion, I'm also trying to do some business development activity. Fine. So you can get to us to help you in doing the design for in-city. Okay. Okay, gentlemen, I think the critical part of it is that in-city warehouses or urban logistics is the future of time. fine. Governments are talking about policies, and I have purview to that as being the Vice President of the Warehousing Association of India. I can tell you that there is a very serious discussion going on with the government at the central level, at state levels, the top 7 states in the country, where new policies are being written for urban logistics or in-city distribution. All the challenges are quite well known. I think they're commonsensical challenges that are well known. And here we are talking about quick commerce, agile commerce, where obviously the total space that is required is not going to be very large. We're not talking of 2 lakh, 3 lakh square feet of facilities. These will be facilities of 10,000, 15,000, basically meeting your short time to market, your Insta deliveries that we are talking about, and your Blink deliveries, and so on and so forth. So there's a large potential out there, especially looking at all the type of congestions. And slowly you will have these no-entry rules that will be very prominent in most of the cities, especially because of the environmental pollution that is constantly happening, et cetera, and so on. So that's going to be the future, and I think we'll look at that as time comes by. Let me go back to Prashant. Prashant, I have been seeing this, and part of being an intra-warehouse design company, we keep getting these projects with us. There's a lot of change now from 1 lakh, 2 lakh boxes. And I'm sincerely very sad that we call these as boxes. These are not a box that you can kick. These are not boxes. These are distribution centers. They are warehouses. 25 crore investment he just mentioned done. And I would blame the IPCs actually to call it a box. So anyway, let me come back to this. I'll come back to that. So looking at the geometry of these mega boxes or super mega or large boxes, warehouse buildings, it seems to be more of a developer high. I have designed a 5 lakh box, or rather we have a 5 lakh square feet one box. These are more like statements of developer high, and also organizations who end up hiring such boxes. I see a whole geometrical anomaly, in such designs and such boxes. On one hand, we talk about, again, that is A grade, thanks to IPCs, I would never call it A grade. We call it platinum grade or gold grade, whatever. But the point is that the geometrical anomaly that you have in these boxes, do you really think they will provide efficiency?
I agree to you, because I was scouting warehouses recently for my North Distribution Center. And we're looking for A-grade properties. And because we have built a great warehouse in Bhiwandi on our BTS system, I realize developers are not looking into small aspects. For example, the lures inside the warehouses, how many air changes is going to happen, what is the docking space you have in front of, how many docks you have, what kind of flooring you have. So I just seen an example where, I'll not quote the name of the company, but the flooring was so bad. Actually, they had constructed, or they installed the shelving, and one fine day, the flooding happens. And in 3 days, they think actually the plinth has sank by 2 inches. So the entire shelving was actually inclined. The kind of effort they had to take to redig everything and do that flooring. So it clearly shows that although we call it BTS or mega boxes, the basic design parameter have been compromised. And this compromise, if people don't understand, if some company has no consultant and they just like the box and go inside, they realize flooring is bad. They realize that there's a bracing which is actually hindering the movement of MHEs. So I think Arif can add a value to that. Basically, that BTS design specification has to be very, very clean and clear. And many people, they don't understand that. So they just create boxes. So maybe we have to educate them. We have to tell them that if you're creating a building, this is the kind of building you have to create. And that is the need of the hour, because once you enter inside the building and then you realize something is bad, you can't do anything. You just start your operations. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the first input or feedback should be given to the people who help us hire these buildings, number one. We should be very clear that if we want a 3 lakh or 5 lakh square feet or 10 lakh square feet building, then the aspect ratio of the building, the design criteria in terms of length to breadth should not exceed X into Y. And that's when you will get your stuff right. Anyway, more details about that, we can have a one-on-one discussion on that. Quickly, Balbir, we have 10 more minutes, right, with us? Yeah. So let me bring this point, and I think you've raised a very, very pertinent point in terms of the increasing cost. You know, as the specifications are improving, okay, which is good to see, and we are talking about compliance, legitimate land, you know, completely legal setup, etc., etc. All these aspects have come to their real cost, and I won't say that the cost has increased. The reference point itself was wrong. You know, illegal land, non-compliant warehouses. I don't think these were proper references. But I'm saying now to do a legit facility, okay, compliant facility, good efficient specifications, etc., etc. Fine. The total cost, the time that it takes to get the approval from the government, you know, the 62 approvals that are required to set up a logistics park, 1 year time taken, etc. Rising cost of steel, cement, construction cost on one side, and the customer's stress on rental limits on the other side. Do you see this slowly becoming a bubble? And after some time, if customers are not willing to pay, we would go back in time? Or how would customers actually balance this? What does your study tell you? You know?
See, if you really see, you know, for benefit of all, I will just explain you in short. What happens is, in 1 acre of land, you can make maximum 24,000 to 25,000 square feet of warehouse. Typically 50% to 55% of ground coverage. Okay, and so typically the land cost per square feet is around 1,000 rupees per square feet. And say the best of the construction costs, say for a Flipkart warehouse or for a Reliance warehouse, should be around 2,000 rupees, including 18% GST. So say a per square feet cost is around 3,000 rupees. So if a developer wants a 10% return on his investment, you know, even if I'm not counting any interest cost or anything, so he can give a box at say around 25 rupees per square feet on a carpet per month. You know, so that's the standard plus or minus 10% here and there. Okay, so depending on what price he gets the land. And land is scarce, you can't manufacture it. So the only way to make the things cheaper is you have to go farther. Okay, so if you want a cheaper warehouse, go more 10 kilometers farther, you will get a cheaper land. See, if each 25 lakh rupees a land is cheaper, you can save 1 rupee. So because you are making 25,000 square feet on it. So simple calculation, it's a simple math. So, and if you can save some $100 on the construction cost, you can again save, say, 50 paisa on it. So that's the calculation, very simple calculation. Anybody can do it, any 10th pass guy can do it. So these are the calculations. And, your question regarding the rentals, see, rentals in India are still very, very low compared to the top 10 countries of the world. The typical rentals are $15 to $25 per annum. That comes down to, say, boils down to around 100 rupees per square feet to 160 rupees per square feet. We are still hovering around 15 to 25 rupees. Say the only city which has more rentals of 30 rupees is Chakan, which is Pune. Balance most of the cities are between, grade A is between 20 to 25 rupees, and say grade B is between 15 to 20 rupees. So we are at a very low base of rentals, and that's why there is a dilemma of investing into more specs for the clients, because it doesn't fetch more rentals. You know, so as companies grow, as companies have more profit, as companies can pay more rentals, this will gradually increase. So the question is wrong that people will not develop, people will definitely develop. The same bestsellers and Reliance will pay more rentals because they are earning more, so they can pay more. Yes, they will, their ask for specs will be more, but that's where the developer is ready to invest.
Yeah.
So as their demand increases, more investment will be done, more rental will be asked, and I think they'll be happy to pay. So I think it's a happy situation going forward. I think it will evolve over a period of time.
This is a better astrologer. He gave us the positive side of business at least, you know. Good. I mean, he's also good one. So, but you need to go to his room, you know. He is given free advice sitting here. That guy gives advice in the room. Okay. Okay. So, gentlemen, this has been so intriguing, and I would say that, you know, phenomenal inputs, great insight. Balbir, I think you nailed it in the end, that there is constant demand for spec, and spec will cost money. Specs don't come for free, right? So that's the whole thing. And if you're going to pay money, I think you need to look at your costs with regards to your processes, your design, your displays, the technology, the skill sets of people. I think that's one area, skill sets, where we haven't spent too much time. You know, we are very soft-hearted human beings. So either we put our teams to proper training, identify weaknesses. I'm not saying you start, you know, sacking people. I'm saying look at the potential that these people have. They have been able to run your warehouses for so long. I think they need to be skilled up. There's a lot of skilling happening all over the world, okay? So let's skill them up and use these inputs to improve productivity and efficiency, and therefore reduce your cost. I can tell you, in today's world, if we are expecting that we will be able to reduce cost, overall cost, I'm saying total cost of delivery, then I'm telling you it's not going to happen, okay? The total logistics spend, we keep hearing 8% of GDP in developed world, and India 13%, 14%, and we are going to help in reducing that. Let me tell you, with Bharat 6, electronic vehicles, trucks which are going to be modern, highways, toll, cost of toll between, can anybody guess the cost of toll for a 16-tonner vehicle traveling from Delhi to Bombay? What does it cost?
2,400 rupees?
2,400 to 2,500 rupees. Imagine just one-way cost of toll, okay? And you go down to the south, from Delhi to south, you're up 3,600 bucks. 4,000 rupees, okay, that's the new one, right? And all fast tag, fine. So the point is that with this type of cost, do you think transporters are going to be able to reduce price? Diesel being at 9,900 rupees, do you think you're going to reduce price? So prices, as far as your outlay is concerned, the outlay is not going to go down. But you can still reduce your total cost by bringing in proper infra, proper people, and proper processes, which will then deliver efficiency, and it is only efficiency and productivity that's going to pull down this devil of cost, okay? With this, I would put an end to the discussion. Thank you very much for your insights. I open the house for questions at this moment. If you have any questions, please feel free.
We'll take 2 questions. We'll
Yep.
take here first, and then maybe we go for here. Reserve for the next one.
The guy under the camera also had a question. Yeah, okay, fine. Yeah, we can start. No, you're not.
Yeah.
You have to press something to make it active.
Keep it short, your questions, yeah.
Hi, I'm Jawahar. I head fulfillment and logistics for Way Cool Foods and Products. Coming from a B2B company and searching for warehouses in all metros all along, what I see is, since we are talking a lot about standardization of everything, there is no standardization in warehouse design. Anybody with a land and anybody with some money can build up a box with no standardization. You see, wherever you go, the guy decides for a 30,000 square feet warehouse, he will have 2 dogs, right? So, like a platform like this, I want to understand whether a platform like this, we are pushing the government for standardization of the basic warehouse spec, at least for the worm shell and on the compliance part. Is something going on that aspect? I want to understand.
I think I would like to answer. If you see Government Ministry of Commerce, they have released a document. So that is standardization of the warehouse and related assets. I think it has come recently. It is a draft document which has been there, and the document gives everything about the warehouse assets, all the standards that has to be followed, grade A specification, grade B specifications, then storage system specifications, pallet specification, everything is given. And that's a good document which I think all of us can refer, and we can build warehouses to make a standard specifications pan-India.
Gopinath ji, you like the document?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
There was a question.
I'm the author of that document.
Ah,
Thank you.
So,
Thank you very much.
there is another question.
Yeah, we've written it. Coign Consulting has written it. Yusha is with me here. Can you just stand and wave your hand, Yusha? He's been, he and I have We have together constructed that document, which is going to be released on the 17th of September by the Honorable Prime Minister of India. I'll be happy to see all of you there in Delhi. And he's right, coming back to this point, you know, this is basically, it's a handbook, so we can't officially call it a standard because standards are released by the Bureau of Industrial Standards. BIS has also contributed in that document, to be very honest, okay? And they have validated everything that we have written. And it is a guide, okay? Secondly, just to correct, I have removed A, B, and C classification because I don't believe that that's a classification. Fine. We will rate the industry by saying this is a platinum standard building or a gold standard building, because I'll just give you one example quickly. JK Cement challenged one of the IPCs and said, you say this is A grade specification, it has to be 12 meters tall. I'm a cement guy, fine, I can't store my products at 12 meters. Okay, I pile stock, fine. Adani Wilmar, okay, said that we pile stock the grain and the soya bean that we buy, and that stack does not go up beyond 6 meters. So are you saying that my warehouse is D grade? I'll take you to court, okay? So the point is that the specifications, therefore, are not A grade, B grade. They are quality specifications, and they're fit for purpose. So your purpose is a 6 meter or an 8 meter or a 5-ton load because you are carrying feather and mattresses, or a 4-ton, as you call it, UDL load. That's A grade for me. So therefore, we've removed that in that document. When you read the document, you will see there is no definition of A and B and C. I know I've been the villain there to remove it. But yes, it does not mean that you will not differentiate good infrastructure versus bad infrastructure. And that differentiation is going to be happening through saying it's platinum, gold, or silver, or earth, or whatever. So that's just to give an answer.
Second question?
Yeah, hi. Very good conversation. Thank you, Arif, for these insights. Here, you can look here.
Yeah, hi.
Hi, my name is Dr. Ashwini. I'm founder and CEO at Prozo. My question is for Prashant. So Prashant, when you spoke about consolidation of the warehouses, larger spaces, at what size of the warehouse, the economies of scale actually stop giving you the returns, right? Is it 1 lakh? Is it 3 lakhs? Is it 10 lakhs? Because that's a question. We vertically utilize the space. We believe, and as a thesis, we can say that beyond a particular size, actually, it's a diminishing utility. It's not, you don't get economies of scale. You have, disadvantages of having a very, very large warehouse. So any thoughts there?
Typically, there is no definition because I'm saying that the warehouse efficiency can be improved year on year. For example, 5 lakhs, you also depend on what kind of the goods are you storing, Supposing, for example, apparel, we have to go vertical. We have to go vertical, we cannot go horizontal. So maybe when you realize that now 3 lakh square feet and now my capacity is going and I'm not going to operate, it is better to look for a smaller warehouse instead of expanded warehouse. Because you have put automation, and automation has a limit. So beyond the limit, if you try to stretch that, then it's not going to yield the required results. So vertical to horizontal, at what time to stop, there is no definite answer. It all depends on which kind of industry you're working in.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, guys, so I think this was
Please,
very
round of
interesting.
applause.
Thank you for your kind attention. And if the humor was a little painful to any one of you, my sincere apologies. But the idea was just to make all of us a little more cheerful. Thanks. Have a good day.
This is a memo for everybody. Charu, please.
Yeah.
Guys, come on, acknowledge. Just keep on doing that.
I don't think I did a good job, though. Oops. Thank you very much.
You did a good job of selling Coign for sure.